Can you walk us through what the theory is behind dropping change CPI from the president's budget this year? Is this basically an acknowledgement that whatever hope there may have been, small though it may have been, that a grand bargain could be accomplished is now gone?
Well, Julie, let me answer that in a couple of different ways. The first is, and it's important for you and your readers to understand, that this offer from the president remains on the table. You'll recall that in the context of the discussions that we've been having with congressional Republicans about reducing the deficit, that the president put forward some specific ideas about how we can do that in a balanced way. Now, a balanced way means that the president put forward ideas that Republicans themselves support, things like changes to entitlement programs, and coupled them with some things that the president thinks would be good policy, things like closing tax loopholes, and using revenue from those closed tax loopholes, savings from the entitlement changes that Republicans had sought, and use that to reduce the deficit. So the president was willing to step forward and put on the table a concrete proposal. Unfortunately, Republicans refused to even consider the possibility of raising from revenue by closing some loopholes that benefit only the wealthy and the well-connected. So that is an unfortunate policy choice that Republicans themselves have made. But the thing that's also important to understand is we've made substantial progress in reducing the deficit. There's more that we can do, and that's why the offer remains on the table. But over the last few years, the deficit in this country has reduced, or has been declining at the fastest rate since the end of World War II. And what the budget proposal will show when it's released in detail in a couple of weeks, it will show that the deficit at the end of this 10-year window will be at less than 2% of GDP. Now, that sounds very technical, but I'm raising it for an important reason. You'll recall that when Democrats and Republicans agreed that we should work in bipartisan fashion and appoint the Simpson-Bowles Commission to examine proposals for reducing the deficit, the goal that was identified by Simpson-Bowles was to reduce the deficit as a percentage of GDP to below 3%. But what our budget projection shows is that over the course of the next 10 years, or in 10 years, the percentage will actually be below 2%. So we've made substantial progress in reducing the deficit. We welcome opportunities to cooperate further and reduce the deficit further with Republicans. But the president also believes it's important that we start spending some time focusing on what kinds of policies we can put in place that will expand the economic opportunity for every American.
But I guess